Hey, good morning. My name's Lloyd Yates. I'm the Advocatre representative on the Bristol Older People's Partnership Board, and I'm here to tell you about the scintillating meeting that I went to on the 17th of September 2013. The first agenda item was Bristol's bid to the big lottery fund for the Ageing Better Fulfilling Lives grant. This is a large potential grant, £6 million over 6 consecutive years. And the good news is that Bristol has been shortlisted through to the second stage. There were 100 local authorities originally selected and 91 subsequent bids. Bristol is now in the last 32 of those bids. The next stage is for a lead organisation to be chosen, and there are a number of organisations that are going to be assessed later this month in a subsequent meeting of the Older People's Partnership Board. Vosca, as I understand it, has withdrawn from that process, but I know that a number of other local larger voluntary organisations will be stepping in with an expression of interest, so it will be interesting to see where that goes. The deadline for the bid is the 18th of September, so it's all going to happen pretty quickly. The next item on the agenda was a discussion about day services in the city, and as you know, a number of day centres have closed. Wesley Day Centre and Gravel Day Centre in Stockwood have ceased to operate, and they've been replaced by 3 regional hubs. There was a presentation from the managers of those services, and there was some encouragement actually to be had, I thought. I quite like their ethos of really trying to cater for all the different groups that are using the centres. I think there's no doubt that the centres are going to be busy, and there seems to be quite a lot of investment in the things that I would consider to be important in such a service. So they seem to have thought long and hard about transport, which is one of the biggest challenges for day services, how to make sure that everybody can actually get there and get home again. And they decided to go down the route of actually leasing dedicated vehicles for the services. So for example, the old Bristol 600, which is now I think called the Bristol South Hub, Community Link South I think is its catchy name. They've actually got 5 dedicated lease vehicles of different kinds to get people backwards and forwards from their centre. So I think it's a real step in the right direction. The people who are going to be driving those vehicles are the employees of the service, which I think is a good thing as well. Because it's a good opportunity to get to know people who are using the service better and understand where people are living, and just have a bit more of an insight perhaps than if people just arrive and are then shipped off again at the end of the day. I also like the way that the council's committed to investing in better standard of physical premises. So there's been quite a lot of refurbishment done at the centre, Community Link South. It's not a great name, is it? And so the building, as I understand it now, is looking much better. They've got a couple of dedicated activity spaces. They've got some smaller private spaces which are quieter. There's a hairdressing salon. There's a personal care space with public access to local people, which is useful. A service user kitchen, a community cafe. That's all good stuff. And they've got a computer room, fantastic. And as I understand it, the council have also invested in a couple of iPads as well, which I hope to see being used shortly. So I think that's all good news. I think we should have a good facility that's more fit for purpose with a wider range of people, hopefully with better transport links. And if I may, I'll report back on how that's going. I hope to visit in the next month or so. So in my next update, I'll give you a bird's eye view of what that looks like. We had an update from Health Watch, and I think it would be fair to say that they got a fairly tetchy response from the Older People's Partnership Board. There were a number of questions asked about the efficacy of the organisation, and actually the person who came to the board then, her last statement was, well, I'm leaving anyway. And so she's off for pastures new. The comment of the board at that point was, well, you know, this is the kind of thing that we've seen before, and the comment back was, well, you know, this is my personal decision. It's got nothing to do with Health Watch. But I think, you know, some people at the board noticed a pattern of happenings, you know, with that organisation. One thing that I was particularly interested in with Health Watch is that they proposed to have a role of volunteer champions to go and visit care settings. I think this is something in the wider scheme of things that's particularly important. You know, as we know, the statutory services, both the CQC and the local council quality assurance team, are very stretched in terms of their capacity to actually give a meaningful appraisal of how services are working, especially for the lived experience of people living in care. And there are a number of initiatives that are proposing to make use of lay assessors. So that's both members of the general public, it could be officers, unofficial officers of the council, it could be volunteers through organisations like RSVP and Alive, to undertake some of that inspection work with a particular focus on quality of life. So in principle, I think that's a really good thing. I would hope that the service that is eventually decided on is a joined up one, because what I can gather at the moment, there are a couple of different schemes, and I'm not convinced that they've talked to each other yet. So you know, maybe I can try and bring those together and talk to you about that next time. So it was a very positive meeting. I think Bristol feels quite confident actually, especially about the big lottery bid. I heard one comment, which is it's ours to lose. You know, there's a feeling that Bristol has got a very good chance of success, and you know, there's no doubt that the influx of money in this particular climate will be especially welcome. You know, especially as some of that will find its way to voluntary sector organisations doing good work in the city. So as always, if you've got any questions that you'd like me to raise at the board, please do let me know. tim@aliveactivities.org. You know, or please do get in touch. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.